Zelazny, that's Polish for difficult to pronounce last name. I hear a lot about Chicago being really segregated. Do y'all agree Chicago really segregated?
Yep.
I don't necessarily know that I agree. I think I'm proof that Chicago's not so segregated, all right? Because I am Irish, Italian, Polish, and Mexican. Ooh. I kind of gave the end of that part of the joke away because of the whole thing that's happening over here. You know, the Latina-ness of it all. And what Ginny said and how she introduced me. So, spoiler alert, I am Mexican. I'm 1/4 Mexican. Or some would say, un peso. Which counts. That's yeah, Irish, Italian, Polish, Mexican. That's pretty much all of Chicago, except not the parts you hear about on the news. At least not for me. No, I think a lot about being Mexican because it's one of the very few interesting things about me. But I know that a lot of people don't see Mexican immediately when they first meet me, but now I've dyed my hair darker and my face is still pretty round, so maybe you do. But sometimes people don't think stereotypically Mexican when they see me, whatever that means. But what that does mean is probably that, like my brother, for example, whether or not he gets arrested for possession of marijuana, entirely dependent on if he shaved his mustache that day. Me too, a little bit. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. No, I look like this because my mother is so white.
How white is she?
I was pretty weak, I'm sorry. No, my mother is so white that when she had myself and my 2 siblings, her 3 children, she gave us all the same initials so she could, quote, get a good deal on monogramming. Of course, no one thought to tell her that you can save the most money on monogramming by not monogramming at all. No, but I grew up in Connecticut where there are far, far more monograms than there are Mexican people, right? And so growing up, I'd only ever hear about going to Mexico in the context of going there for spring break, right? Like it would always be these girls I went to middle school and high school with who would tell me, Courtney, if you ever go to Mexico for spring break, because why else would you? Be careful about drinking the water because of Montezuma's revenge. Y'all know about Montezuma's revenge, of course. Yeah, exactly. For this table in front who just got their food dropped, I'm really sorry for what I'm about to say. But Montezuma's revenge is when they tell you to be careful about drinking the water in Mexico because the bacteria could give you potential digestive issues, to put it lightly. But it would always come from these girls who would then proceed to post pictures of themselves on Instagram double fisting frozen margaritas, as if that ice is not also made of water. Which of course begs the question, is it the water that's the problem? Or is it the fact that this is the first time you're eating seasoned food in your life, Karen? Because if we're being honest, there's really only one ice us Mexicans need to be concerned about. It's an election year, people. You need to know about this. I'm very disappointed. I know we have a lot of Latinas and Hispanics in the crowd. Are all of y'all Catholic? I'm so sorry. Are all of you recovering Catholics?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. You gave up being Catholic for Lent. I understand that. Actually, did anyone give up anything for Lent? No? Okay, you're all going to hell. I gave up situationships for Lent. Or maybe it would be more accurate to say that situationships gave up on me. I did. Anybody else get dumped recently?
Yeah.
It's really wrong. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I'm not alone, even though I am alone. No, y'all know what situationships are, though, right? Yeah? Okay. For those of you who are in happy, committed relationships, I read on Twitter recently, this might help you understand, a situationship is what the sad person in the situationship calls it. The other person doesn't call it anything at all. I'm so sad. When I was in college, I was in a situationship for 5 years. Yeah, that groan is appropriate, because I was in college for 4 years. So that tells you that I learned everything I needed to know for an undergraduate degree in English literature, but I did not learn my lesson. Yeah, but trust me, I did a lot of mental gymnastics in order to justify this to myself, okay? Like, I thought that the reason why we never made direct eye contact outside of the dorm room was because he was shy. I was like, okay, well, he's never been a date to my sorority formal for all 4 years because, like, he is an introvert, all right? He, like, wears horn-rimmed glasses and sweaters with elbow patches, and he reads a lot of Tolkien. And so then I read a lot of Tolkien. And that's why we've never had a conversation amongst our mutual group of friends so they could witness it. All right, that's what it is. But I went to college in Washington, D.C., and after I graduated, I moved out of our college town, but I had to come back to be a bridesmaid at my sorority sister's wedding. And this guy, he was still living in D.C., and so I texted him. I was like, hey, I'm going to be back in town. How would you like to have sex in a bed that's not a twin size? And he said yes. And so I sent him the address to the hotel room that my mom paid for. And I was like, cool, meet me here after the rehearsal dinner. So I go to the rehearsal dinner and I get drunk on free alcohol. And when I come back, he's sitting there in the hotel lobby waiting for me. And he's reading a book. Sexy, right? No one ever agrees that that's sexy. And I think that should have been my third red flag. But no, he's waiting for me reading a book. And so I walk up to him and I say, let's go upstairs. And so then we do go upstairs. But when we get into my hotel room, I take one look at him, and he takes one look at me, and he goes, do you mind if I finish this chapter? Yeah, exactly. So that bruised the ego a little bit, not gonna lie, but I'm over it. It's been 5 years, I'm over it. And this is gonna sound like a non sequitur, but I swear it's not. Are any of y'all on the side of TikTok where your For You page is showing you videos about the signs and symptoms of undiagnosed adult autism?
Yes.
Okay, great. You don't agree with me on nerdy guys, but you do agree with me about adult autism. Great, perfect. Glad to know where we lie. But so I've been getting that quite a bit, and so I texted my friend whose wedding it was, and I was like, hey, based on this video, do you think that he has undiagnosed adult autism? And she goes, no, Courtney, I don't think he has undiagnosed adult autism. And some of you are giggling to yourself because you think that the next thing that she says is, I think you have undiagnosed adult autism. But, dear audience, I need you to know that that is not what she says. She says, he does not like you. Somehow that was more difficult for me to swallow. I don't know what it is. It was a mystery to me. I know what it is. What it is because I get really attached to people. Like when I finally decide that I do like someone, I tend to glom onto them. I'm a real glommer. Anybody else? Yeah. I've been working on it. Not in therapy though, because I'm 27, so I'm not allowed to go there anymore. But I have been working on it. I started seeing this guy we met on a dating app. It's called Hinge. For the sake of anonymity, let's say his name is Matt. His name is Matt, but they're all named Matt, so power in numbers there. And so we started seeing each other back in July, and I'm trying to keep it sort of not an arm's length, but we're doing that mature adult thing where we're not boyfriend and girlfriend because that's so immature. And so I will go on dates with other people, and he'll ask me about it, and I'll tell him about it, and then he stops existing once I close the door because my ego can't handle knowing if he's seeing anybody else. Anybody else like that? Cool. But so he was over at my apartment a little while ago for the second time ever. My apartment is my sanctuary. And we were talking about dates that I've been going on dating apps and stuff. He's like, how's the dating app situation going for you? And so I told him, I was like, here's my new rule with dating apps. I am no longer giving my phone number out until I've gone on one successful in-person date with a person I meet on a dating app. Because, it's just so dangerous when you're a woman in the city, especially me. I'm a semi-public figure as a stand-up comedian in Chicago, okay? It's dangerous for me to give that much information out. Because if you've got my name and my phone number, you can find out anything about me probably, according to the internet. And he's like, you are so right. We do know too much about each other. I love that element of discovery and mystery when meeting someone new for the first time. He's like, I don't even know your last name. What? What? What do you mean you don't know my last name? We've been seeing each other since July. I live in a doorman building. How did you get up here? Okay. Did you walk up to the front desk and say, hey, I'm here to see that loud bitch in 403? And they just let you up? That's a security concern for me. I'm gonna have to move. I mean, did you just never think to Google Chicago comedian Courtney. I'm one of 2 people who comes up and the other one's married. You couldn't figure that out? Like I said, I have a lot of monograms in my apartment. You couldn't Scooby-Doo out what my last name is. I understand not knowing how to pronounce it, I'll give you that one, but you could at least try. And so I didn't know how to respond to that. I had that whole monologue in my head. And so I did the only thing I could think of, which was I had sex with him. Because, I mean, like, what are you supposed to do in that situation, right? So he leaves my apartment the next day, and I don't text him. Okay, I text him, but it's only to send him a song. But not like an I'm thinking of you song. It's like he asked me what the song was that I've been playing on my speaker, and so I texted him that song, because I've got good taste. Not in men, but in music. And so I don't text him for the rest of the day outside of that, but I do scream, sob in my shower listening to Olivia Rodrigo, which is appropriate because, like I said, I'm 27 and I'm her key demographic. And so I don't text him, but then the next day, okay, I composed my thoughts in a notes app, and I sent him essentially the following. Okay, listen, I'm not happy with the way that went down. And I just need you to know that I don't need you to respect me, but I need to respect myself. Not a strong start. All right, he sends me back essentially, I totally hear where you're coming from. It was never my intention to hurt your feelings. In my defense, if I don't know someone's last name, I normally find it out on Instagram, which forces me to be in the awkward position of having to go, well, then why don't you follow me on Instagram? Like a 14-year-old girl, because he doesn't follow me on Instagram. That should have been my first red flag. And he says, well, I don't really go on Instagram that much. What? That's your whole argument right there, Matt. Okay? And so I say as much, I'm like, look, I just need some space. I need to reflect on how I'm feeling about this. He's like, I totally understand. Look, I really like you and I'd like to continue seeing you. I'm gonna be out of town for the holiday. Why don't I reach back out to you when I'm back in town? And I say, okay, fine. And that was Thanksgiving. Do you guys think he's mad at me? I think you might be mad at me. Are you guys